she's 16 and 16. So this is up to 16. So this isn't even finishing high school. Okay, so this is just in high school. So there was an identity complex coming in. So very often that would likely be meeting someone, trying to prove something, and then perhaps getting rejected or not fitting in and feeling isolated. It's funny because it would make that Cancer ascendant withdraw, although the Leo and the Aries isn't. The Cancer ascendant could have had a challenge. Wherever Saturn challenges you, there's a need to grow. So there was a formative thing happening back there with Saturn and the ascendant. I mean, you can, with every chart, you got to do this, and you take the time to do it, and you begin to build up the texture of how they got to where they are. So then, at that point, just the difficulty at that age, 16, I want to get out of school, I want to get out of here. I'd rather get anything, get my own place, get out of here. But it's really when she should be studying, when she starts getting the formative information of what she wanted to do. How much that was work or how much that was school, how far she went to school, hard to say. If school became really boring, she might find something else that was interesting, or she may have taken a twist in what she wanted to study. She may decide to study something different than what the parents had expected of her. But Saturn came along, it hit the ascendant, it conjuncted the Sun, still in 75. So at the beginning, it's in June 75, conjuncted the ascendant. By September, October, it was conjuncting the Sun, and then back and forth on the Sun until June of 76. So there she's trying to define, Saturn's defining what do I want to do, or it's trying to be defined for you. The pressure, what Dad's saying I should do, what I want to do, what I have to do, what the pressure's on, what am I going to choose for university? Okay, so this is 17. Certainly social standing, she's going to want to stand her own rate, but she's feeling disassociated from what happened before that. And she wouldn't have got so much support from, I don't know about these, I'm just talking, I'm making up. When you work with a chart and you don't know something, you're making up a caricature, an imaginary caricature of what you think the person is. It's not who the person is, it's how you see it from your understanding. But that gets you close. Then you watch the transits happening to that caricature. So you can be wrong in the specific things you're seeing, but they're close enough that when you find it, no, I'm not like this, I'm like this, and the source says it's like this. And as soon as the person tells you what it is, you go, oh, then it's working like this. Then you see how that applies in that situation. But it's still a necessary texture to go through the caricature, to look at the name chart and to watch the timings and how you imagine how it happened for you, because that gives you the key to being able to adjust to see how, not what you need to see, what you're seeing, they need to, what do they need in their world based on what you understand of their timings. Okay, and okay, the Saturn comes down, it's going down to the first quadrant, the personal, selfish, personal growth quadrant. Best plan to be in school, but at the same time, there might be attitude, who needs to be in school, and I could be working, I could be doing things. I don't know how that went. But it went along, it would go along, probably stayed in school, probably went to university, probably went on with schooling in this point. But Saturn hit the IC. So Saturn hits her IC in 1980. So she's 21. So by then I've done as much studying. It's like I've done as much studying as I'm going to do. Saturn's down at the bottom. I know what I don't want. I've been putting up with things, second, third house. Saturn down there, I'm not fitting in. She grew a lot from it, but here at the IC, you don't know what you want, but you know beyond any shadow of doubt what you don't want. I want to put up with this, I don't want to put up with this. So she could decide Saturn's low. But at that age, she could decide she meets someone and moves out, or she might find someone to commit to and be thinking of getting married to get out of the house. Or she could just be deciding, I'm going to take a job and go do something. But there's a really big turning point here. And often when Saturn's on the IC, sometimes people that deeply motivate you or affect you in a long, deep way come into your life, even from across lifetimes. So you get motivated, you want to make everything happen in a year or two, but it's going to be happening for the next 15 years. So she gets motivated to think for herself. But still there's a frustrating with one's environment, Saturn in the 4th house. And it goes through that to build up to the 5th, 6th, gets her Saturn return in the 6th house at 29. She gets to the Saturn return, 1988. And by then, she's had the whole cycle. Above the horizon and below. It pretty well follows above the horizon and below. So there's that death rebirth before the Saturn return and the need to make a commitment. What am I doing here? What I'm going to commit and what I'm going to work at by 30. And so like if you haven't found the career you want, or you haven't had the kids, or you haven't made the commitment in your life by 30, that's people are in trouble with don't. There's much more difficult. If someone's been stoned, spaced out, that's not her. But things are coming there. She's deciding what I got to do. And at the same time, it's tied to whether she has family and had to go back out, or she had kids and had to go back to work or whatever, like that would have been her kid time. Actually, it's ideal time to have kids, Saturn below the horizon, fourth, fifth house, learning a lot, putting in the time. But by the time Saturn hit the moon, she'll be thinking, I got to get out of here, I got to work, I got to go do something. Then Saturn's going to come up hit the descendant. As soon as Saturn hits the descendant, it's going to change. It changed when she was very young. It's going to change again. So she might have the kids and she might go back to work when they were reasonably young. That would be kind of practical. But in that going back, in that going out above the horizon, Saturn hitting the descendant, which would have been 1990, 3 times back and forth, it's the problems were no longer within, they were out in the world. Things she had to move out in the world. I got to get out of here. But she starts, and Saturn's going to oppose her sun. It's going to go into Capricorn, go into Aquarius. It's going to oppose her sun in this process. And there's going to be delay there. There's going to be restraint there. There's going to be a frustration there. And then once it passes, Saturn's building its way up to the midheaven. It's going strongly up to midheaven. She doesn't have a bad Saturn. It's building up, but it's going to make her more practical. Perhaps Saturn opposing her Mercury, then opposing Venus, Mars. She's going to have some personal restrictions happening, but that's going to only fuel her need to drive and prove and hold things together herself, anyways. So she would have been building up career things into her 30s, and then it was a peak of status in 1996, Saturn on the midheaven. Then it keeps going, goes along, and it comes down, hits the ascendant in 2005 and 2004. So by 2004, whoa, there's a big identity crisis. What's going on? Well, it's possible as a teenager she had that, so that was her feeling depressed and not realizing she can't live in her parents' worlds, or they're not going to make decisions for her. She's got to think things through of herself. That's her Saturn. But it comes around the second time. It could easily be her kids are old enough, but they have to go to school, they have their things to do, but it's not exactly just the way they want it. They could be, that could put the identity pressure there between career and home. I'm not sure what it is. So we know there was an identity crisis happened there, and after that, second time around, it hits the sun and she defines her goals, and she should be studying and learning new things and building up things and going and doing this. Building up, gets motivated again when Saturn hits her IC, which was in 2010. It's the IC. And then it's building up. Where is it now? Saturn's in Capricorn right now with Pluto. So Saturn's building up. It's gone through. She's had the second Saturn return. Kids are grown up. What am I going to do? Where am I going? She's looking at, when do I retire? What do I do? Her Saturn's in the 6th house. Like it's ready to work forever. The sun wants to play, the sun in Leo, but the Saturn's moving up to descendant. And she's going up into a period where it's building up more career, more status, more confidence for the next 15 years. So 60, she's going to be pushing and working and being out and achieving things till she's 75. That's what the Saturn's saying. Okay, this is a puzzle because this is the issue of when do you retire, or when do you have to retire, and what's next? So the issue around retirement and what to do, there's a big issue here. Do you want to go home and be around the kids at home? No, they're all grown up, they're all their own way. Who wants one to come stay with them? She's not going to want to go stay necessarily with the kids. She may think about it. It's not a realistic option. She's got to do her own world, maintain it. But what's next? Her nature is to have a lifestyle that she wants, but she needs to prove it and go out. She needs to be out in the world making things happen and accomplishing things. So this idea of retiring, doesn't make sense with Saturn hitting the descendant, that she's going to be retired for the next 15 years. No, it doesn't make sense. She might try and be retired for a year or two, and then Saturn's going to oppose her sun. And she may say, I can't live like this. This is crazy. And then she might take a job just to be around people, have a sense of importance and things to accomplish and prove. Okay, that's the Saturn. cycle. It's out and it's pushing to accomplish more and more. It's not pushing to be more and more isolated. That's the practical wheel going on. Okay, now, so this is probably, I met her somewhere around here. Probably I met her back somewhere in this 4th, 5th, 6th house, somewhere down here. And she was concerned what she's going to do when she retires. When should she go early, go later, whatever. And I wasn't exactly encouraging her to go quickly. You know, like, I would say, like, you're building up, not taking down. So that's the practical side of the Saturn. It's going to hit the descendant. There's going to be some challenge. In fact, this year when Saturn hits the descendant, it's in the time everybody's freaking about in the world right now, because Saturn and Pluto are coming to conjunct each other at about 23 degrees, 22, 23 degrees. It's squaring my sun. That's how I remember it so clearly. But that means Pluto's hit the descendant. Saturn's there. Am I going to be retired? Am I on my own? Am I married? What's that like? What decisions are being made? This is, and what's the solution? How am I going to get my new lifestyle? Her being at home and not having something to do and just, yes, dear, I'll do this. I have trouble seeing her stay in that place. Without sooner having to get out and just do something, because she can't just sit there being insignificant. Okay, now, during this time, she's been, the last 3 years, she's been studying astrology, going through the web, going through the series. And we're just finishing it now as Saturn's coming up to descendant. Okay, so it's a big deal. Like, she's built up some other skills to work with. And there is a challenge in this chart. Like, she wants, what am I going to live for? I got to prove this for kids, but kids are grown up or whatever. If she tries to be the grandparent, she's going to be probably domineering as her mom wants to be there with the grandkids almost too much. Now, there's something else. I think in her retirement, she needs to live for her hobbies and make her turn her hobbies to careers and prove she can do things. So you can see if the astrology takes and she gets into it, it's going to light up, and she could be doing that, and she could be really, really accomplish things with it. It's moving that way. She got to 75. That would keep her in touch with people. Everyone's coming in for advice. She's meeting young people, different things, and wow, she's the show and tell person. Not normally the most advised person, but she has good information. People will come, and it will keep her. It will keep her alive outwardly with things to do. Okay, so that's my take. Okay, there's other things along with this when I'm thinking about it. That moon, that's the fire, all the fire, sun, the first fire, it's a show and tell. So the astrology is one piece. It's not the whole pack of the puzzle. She's going to try and live in her hobbies and perhaps make money from it so she can live in a style she wants, not just have to work to carry the kids, carry the home, and maintain a busy job and a high pressure job. Astrology is a piece of it, but that's waking up her mind and seeing the plan. When she has a plan, an independent plan, the Mercury Uranus is just suited for that. But her sun and her moon, I keep thinking, if she learned martial arts, if she learned Tai Chi and Qigong, how to breathe, how to do the exercise, in 2 or 3 years, she could be very good at that and be a teacher of that. And if she were teaching something like Tai Chi, Qigong, maybe yoga, but I think Tai Chi, Qigong or something physical, she could be showing other people how to do this till the day she died. It would be keeping her young. It would be working with her Saturn in the 6th house. It would be fitting up to that moon. She's doing the exercise. She's showing people how to go through it. She has something she's doing to different people. They should be working, helping older people, younger people. She should be showing people how to do something she's learned how to do. And it would be physical. It would be centering. It would be very simple, but very alive for her.